This is a fan-generated show. If you would like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your support is greatly appreciated.
Hi, and welcome to the Glazov Gang. Today we're going to discuss America's favorite evil socialist grandpa, Bernie Sanders, and his issue with the Jews. Specifically, Bernie Sanders' war against the Jews. Now, if you remember quite a while back, Bernie Sanders certainly doesn't, Bernie started out by running against Wall Street. But these days, he's running against Israel. Running against Wall Street was hard. You had to know math. The Sanders campaign had to get to work producing actual numbers, and Americans were shocked to learn the higher taxes they would be facing in the People's Republic of Bernie. Prominent economists on the left and the right tore his economic plans to shreds. The Sandinistas responded by touting the support of the country's most prominent Marxist economist, also the son of the Rosenberg-Stalinist atom bomb traders, and an instructor at the Chemekta Community College. Bashing Israel is a lot easier and you don't have to know any math, but it appeals to the same conspiratorial, bigoted contingent of the left. And the facts don't matter. Bernie Sanders lied and claimed that Israel had killed 10,000 innocent people in Gaza. The statement was false in every possible way, as Mary McCarthy had said of William Hellman, whose politics Bernie Sanders shares. Every word is a lie, including the and the. But the Sanders base, which had gleefully eaten up his conspiracy theories about Goldman Sachs, loved every single dirty, disgusting minute of it. The worse things got for Bernie, the more he turned to bashing Israel. After each defeat, he pandered harder to his left-wing anti-Semitic base. In Arizona, he had a member of the Students for Justice in Palestine group standing next to him up on stage. Students for Justice in Palestine has become notorious for its publication of anti-Semitic materials and harassment of Jewish students on campus. He lost Arizona 57 to 39%. In New York, he appointed Simone Zimmerman, a member of the anti-Israel radical hate group, If Not Now, which makes a practice of harassing Jewish charities and demanding that they join them in supporting terrorists. Bernie Sanders lost New York 58 to 42%, but he learned nothing from any of those experiences. Because after all, if you're a socialist, learning is not something that you actually do. So instead, again, Bernie Sanders continued to double down and continue his campaign against the Jews. And Bernie Sanders has a long history of doing just that. He endorsed Jesse Jackson despite the Hymietown slur that Jesse Jackson put out there. He campaigned with Harry Belafonte, who claimed that Hitler had a lot of Jews high up in the hierarchy of the Third Reich. And he campaigned with Spike Lee, who said that he couldn't possibly make an anti-Semitic movie even though he was making them because Hollywood was run by the Jews, which is a really great excuse. He met with Sharpton, who had jeered, if the Jews want to get it on, tell them to pin back their yarmulkes and come over to my house. Sanders does not wear a yarmulke. He had nothing to pin back, and he happily came over. Now, Bernie Sanders is pushing some of his favorite haters of Israel in on the Democratic Party's platform drafting committee. The Sanders Democratic Dream Team includes Cornel West, who flirted with 9/11 trutherism, and is an opponent of Israel. It includes James Zogby, who had defended Hamas and Hezbollah. West claimed that anti-Semitic hate group leader Louis Farrakhan always pushes me in a powerful way. Farrakhan had claimed that satanic Jews control everything and everybody. That's certainly powerful. And Cornel West isn't even the only Farrakhan supporter appointed by Bernie Sanders to his Democratic Platform Committee. There's also Keith Ellison of the history with the Nation of Islam. And then there's James Zogby, who would refer to Israelis as Nazis. He compared the Lebanon war to the Holocaust and described Iran's anti-Semitic Hezbollah terrorists as the Lebanese armed resistance. The boss of this Lebanese armed resistance, quote unquote, had stated that if they, the Jews, all gather in Israel, it would be that much easier to kill them. But Bernie Sanders put Cornel West and James Zogby into place in order to push the Democratic platform into anti-Israel territory. The official word is that the platform will introduce more balance between the Jews and the various armed resistance movements trying to kill them. The balance of this ideological seesaw will be predictably tilting toward the terrorists and away from their Jewish victims. But that's because Bernie Sanders has his throttling finger on the pulse of his hateful base. Bernie Sanders supporters are the only group of backers for any of the candidates in the race who are more likely to support the terrorists over Israel. And as Sanders is focused more on bashing Israel, their bigotry is only likely to grow. Bernie Sanders conducted almost no outreach to Jews. Instead, his campaign is focused heavily on bringing in hateful Muslim figures such as Linda Sarsour, who described throwing stones at Jews as the definition of courage, and the Council for American Islamic Relations, RBU, who compared Israel to ISIS. Even more than Obama, and that's really saying something here, Bernie Sanders is surrounded by hateful figures who despise America and Israel, who have the notorious weakness of political radicals for conspiracy theories, especially conspiracy theories involving Jews. The Bernie Sanders campaign is deeply rotten. It's as deeply rotten as Bernie Sanders himself. And the Bernie Sanders campaign has come to exemplify the absolute very worst of the left. Every setback, every single defeat has pushed it only further to the left until its ideas of authenticity and principle have become naked extremism and bigotry. It is time for decent Democrats to repudiate the bigotry that the Sanders campaign has stirred up. While supporters will insist that Bernie Sanders can't be pandering to anti-Semites because this son of a Polish immigrant is of Jewish ancestry, there's been a pattern of such behavior dating back for years. Sanders' ancestry has not prevented the socialists from Vermont from pandering to the bigotry against Jews that has been described as the socialism of fools. And who better to embody the socialism of fools than Bernie Sanders? When Bernie Sanders was confronted with naked anti-Semitism on the campaign trail, when he listened to a questioner accuse Jews of controlling the Federal Reserve and Wall Street, Bernie Sanders did not denounce his bigotry. Instead, he criticized Israel. That sad moment embodied what Bernie Sanders has become, a fading radical desperately pandering to left-wing bigots. His campaign against Israel channels the conspiratorial mindset of the left, a conspiratorial mindset that believes that Jews run America and the Jews run everything else. And when Bernie Sanders can't denounce bigotry against Jews because he himself profits from it, when he responds to criticisms of the Zionist Jews running Israel by attacking Israel, he reveals all too clearly exactly who his audience is and what their agenda is. The sad truth is that Bernie Sanders is running a hateful campaign, and that with every defeat, his campaign is becoming uglier and more hateful. Bernie Sanders is tampering with the Democratic platform, is seeking to transform the Democratic Party to make it even more anti-Israel, to make it even more hateful, to make it even more extremist. And it's time for those Democrats to repudiate the hate that Bernie Sanders is spreading. This has been the Daniel Greenfield Moment. I'm Daniel Greenfield, and if you like this broadcast, please help support the Glazov Gang. Subscribe to the Glazov Gang YouTube channel. Help support the Glazov Gang. Visit the website to help keep it on the air and help keep broadcasts like this coming to you. Have a good night.